the criticism due to passage of legislation prior to the 2012 election was that there was a shorter period for voting and so forth, and people on the Democratic side said that this was obviously an effort to suppress the vote and so forth. And there was anticipation that there would be a problem. Florida would be a key swing state, and it has been criticized. And the president, in his recent State of the Union address, had someone from Florida, an elderly person, who waited a long time in line. What do you think about those criticisms?
Well, you know, Steve, first of all, we had a very good election in Florida, and we had a fair election. These record turnouts were somewhat predictable, but in some ways they weren't because of the early voting and absentees. I like to remind people that the legislation that passed in 2011, there were 80 provisions in that legislation, and the United States Justice Department that reviews changes in Florida's election laws and other states approved all 80 of those provisions. Number two, while people think that there was less voting time, the fact is that the number of hours that were presented to voters was 96 hours. That's the same prior to the 2011 legislative session. It was the number of days actually that was reduced. So there were a lot of arguments pro and con, and I've got to tell you, adding 12 hours a day to the voting cycle increased accessibility for those people that were going to work in the morning and coming home from work. And people, a lot of supervisors, like that convenience. So the fact is, the long ballot was the #1 issue that contributed to the length of the lines and then projecting turnout in precincts.